Every parent wants to be a great parent, but you don't become a great parent by osmosis. It happens by being intentional. You can parent from this idea that failure is final, and so kids grow up thinking like failure is final. So I failed, I'm a failure, I'm horrible. Now a parent's going to carry that over my head, and they're going to bring that up and use that against me.
You know, you talk about the ups and the downs. Like when you're on a high, and then you talk to a friend and they're on the low. And you're like, come on. Like, I don't need to go through your adversity because I just went through mine.
You know when kids don't learn from their mistakes? When their parents criticize them, when their parents are heavy-handed, when they feel like failures, they want to avoid learning. Most people that say they don't care, they really do care. They want to act like they don't care, and so they will drink a little too much, they'll binge a little too much TV. They'll have other things that is taking away their focus from the fact that their life is mediocre or subpar. Welcome back to the 5-Star Life Show. I am your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with my incredible co-host, Coach Mia. Welcome back.
Thank you. We're having a great conversation about adversity.
Yeah, adversity. We have a lot of adversity, and it's interesting. So for our listening audience, by the way, you can listen to this show anywhere podcasts are streamed. And if you hit the subscribe button, it will come to you automatically, which is awesome. And then you can actually watch this on our YouTube page at the 5-Star Life. And then yourhometv.com is another place you can watch the video version of this. And if you want to see if you're a visual learner. But we were talking about at the break adversity and a certain adversity that I'm living in right now because during this show, my son texted me a picture of a little scrape on the car. He clipped a car. And, I'm sure many parents listening and grandparents, they've had their experiences with their kids dinging up cars and all that stuff. And it's so interesting, like, because I'm a total nerd. So, like, for years, I have this library of memories of listening to parents talk about their kids that ding up vehicles. Mm-hmm. And then I have this other library. It's like I have like the parent library, and then I have the student library. And the parent library, hearing their frustrations and their, upset. And then from the kids, like literally story after story of kids, like my mom is freaking out. Like she thinks I'm terrible. She's going ballistic. So I have like a couple decades of files in my mind. Uh-huh. So it was weird. I felt like I was Rain Man when I got the text from my son. And I was like going through these files, like which parent is going to respond here? How are we going to do this? So anyways, I was proud of him for just like owning it right away. Like he didn't wait. He didn't like ruminate and think about like, oh, dad's going to be ticked. Like this is a big disappointment. I just got my license 10 days ago. Like he could have really just like, he could have lied about it. He could have like said, I don't know. I came out of practice and boom,
That's what I would have done.
My car was messed up. Dad, I have no clue what happened.
Right.
So anyways, I immediately thought, well, he's owning it. That was the first thought that came through my head. And number two, first actually was, okay, are you safe? Two, he owned it. And then, so because his pain is just beginning, because now he's going to get to work to pay it for the damage.
Yeah.
So that's how he's going to learn.
Right.
Like me getting ticked and screaming at him, like he's not going to learn anything from that. Mm-hmm. Except next time, lie to dad.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways. So, there's always adversity. As adults, we have a cycle of adversity we're probably stuck in, right? Like, because we all live in cycles of life. And when you think about adversity, with adversity comes pain. And the higher level adversity, usually the more painful it is. And it's interesting how we learn to deal with adversity when we're young predicts often how we will deal with adversity when we're old. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't mean we have to. We can learn and grow and change, but often the cycle that's set up when we're young continues.
I think that some of that is how we were parented. Because if you're with a parent that constantly brings up the adversity over and over again and helps you remember the pain, then how are you to know how to get rid of it?
Yeah, it's tough because if it's a mistake, like, ultimately failure is final. That's one of the things one of the mantras parents can get in their minds. Like, you can parent from this idea that failure is final. And so kids grow up thinking like failure is final. So I failed, I'm a failure, I'm horrible. And now a parent's going to carry that over my head and they're going to bring that up and use that against me. And what that teaches a kid is it teaches them some interesting coping mechanisms to deal with that form of parenting.
Yeah.
And some kids realize they don't want that. Other kids live into that. And they learn like, I want to avoid failure. I talked to a parent last night who literally just said, we were talking about goal setting in one of our programs. And this parent said, I don't set goals. Took some tumbles throughout their childhood into their adulthood with choices and got in some trouble and just concluded that I don't set goals anymore because I don't want that disappointment. I don't want to fail. And I think there's pieces of this parenting style that can create kids who they learn to avoid failure. So then what that does if you back up the train, you then avoid effort. You avoid stepping out. You avoid new opportunities. You avoid promotions because, well, I'm managing this right here. I don't want more. So many of the folks we work with, adults, it's this cycle. They're so it's like we're all human. We all go through the same things. And we can learn this as kids and it will propel us to deal with this stuff as adults and thrive. Or we cannot learn it and we'll be stuck in that cycle. And it's like we're 12 years old for the rest of our life in how we look at those things.
But we don't have to stay there.
Don't have to stay there.
But I think a lot of people choose to stay there.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's what you were just saying. It's almost like that. You're just comfortable. How many times do we say like they're not living up to their potential? Gosh, we see more in that person. But it's just like it's so hard for them to take that extra step and to, rise above where they're at.
Well, because, you think about adversity. Adversity it's an absolute must if you want to build muscle, right? Strength training, resistance, that's adversity, right? So you have some kind of weight or some kind of resistance that actually pushes against your body and it builds what? It breaks down the muscle tissue so it can rebuild stronger. That's what kids need to understand about adversity. Adversity is meant to build it's meant to build you. So instead of avoiding adversity, which is impossible anyways,
right? Yeah,
you embrace it with confidence instead of feeling like I must be doing something wrong because this is not going right. No, you're not doing anything wrong. Well, maybe you did something wrong, but the point is, you can make it right. You can get stronger, better, smarter, faster because of it. That's really powerful.
How do you find or how do you keep like the right mindset in that? Because I think there's another mindset that can just say, whatever, like, yeah, screwed up, whatever.
Yeah. And I think that the key is holding up the mirror and looking in the mirror and do you like where you're at? And if you're satisfied, truly, that you're being honest, if you like where you're at, then I think you have no issues. But you can't lie to yourself and pretend that I don't care. Most people that say they don't care, they really do care. They want to act like they don't care. And so they will, they'll drink a little too much. They'll binge a little too much TV. They'll have other things that is taking away their focus from the fact that their life is mediocre or subpar or less than what at one point in their life they had hoped for. And they're afraid to dream bigger. They're afraid to step out. And so again, this is why we're teaching what we're teaching to kids so they can learn that adversity, wow, that didn't go the way I wanted. Wow, I made a mistake. Wow, this is a learning opportunity. Wow, Thomas Edison, 9,909, like all these were just opportunities for me to learn how to get it right. We don't look at adversity that way. We think we're doing something wrong. It's like, not necessarily, if you learn from it.
Right. I'm going to leave it behind.
Yeah.
And move forward.
So super powerful. And I think, again, that parent app that we have is such a powerful tool for parents because we're so busy. Every parent wants to be a great parent, but you don't become a great parent by osmosis. It happens by being intentional. Like you don't get in shape on accident. You don't stumble into a healthy lifestyle. You don't stumble into great relationships. You don't stumble into financial success. You don't. You don't stumble into being a great parent.
And I want to say too about the app. It's very easy to navigate, and they're quick lessons that give us an opportunity to have conversation with our kids.
Yeah, super quick lessons. So they're 6 to 7 minutes long. There's a whole parent series that, again, if you're a parent listening to this and you're like, man, I do want to be a great parent and I would love some tools and supports. This app is for you. You go in, you watch a lesson with yourself or your spouse, go through it together
Mm.
and have conversations and dialogue about your parenting styles. There's so many great prompts to process. And I, I, I know it will be a game changer for the connection you have in your family, which your kids, adolescents, they need connection now more than any other time in their life. They want independence, but they need connection. Because as much as they want independence, they need your guidance through some of this territory they're wading through. All right, go to 5starlife.org, go to the Apple Google Play Store for the app. We'll be right back after this. At 5 Star Life, we talk a lot about the right tools. See, the hammer is the courage to be the best person you can be. The chisel is the respect you give and the respect you earn. The level, that's the integrity that keeps you balanced in a world that's always shifting. And the saw represents responsibility. It is what separates you from harmful actions and experience. It's the sacrifice it takes to work hard and be your best. Tools, when they're all used together, things are built. There's progress, but where there are no tools, there can be no progress. We give these important tools to kids every single day, and we couldn't do it without our partners like Global Link Distribution. Global Link supports this mission so that these values, courage, respect, integrity, responsibility, and sacrifice become the tools these amazing young people use to become great. Global Link Distribution is a leader and supplier to the RV, manufactured housing, cabinet shop, cargo, and horse trailer industries, but they're also a proud sponsor of this program to help 5 Star Life students thrive. It is our turn to see to it that our children have the tools that build greatness. Volunteer or donate today at 5starlife.org. Welcome back to the 5 Star Life Show. I'm your host, Coach Seth, and I'm joined in studio with my incredible co-host, Coach Mia. And we are talking about adversity and teaching a lesson to kids in the studio we just taught. But we're talking about here on our podcast, our radio show, teaching kids how to thrive through adversity. Mia, so many people and so many kids think, okay, I'm going through a tough spot. I'm going through adversity. Like, I cannot wait until I get to the end of, like, to the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to be so happy someday. And there's so many kids that become adults that are waiting for someday.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that we're teaching is that adversity is a part of life, and you will always have adversity in your life. I talk about this a lot, but in life, I used to think that life was like a roller coaster, and people often in their minds, I think life is like a roller coaster, and with ups and downs, highs and lows. I really believe it's much more like a set of railroad tracks. There is always something incredibly good to be grateful for. That's wonderful. That's just miraculously good. And then there's always something that's just really adverse, really challenging, obstacles, challenges, hard things, painful things. And the reality is they're both happening throughout our whole lives. I mean, you think about life, and there might be different levels of highs and challenges happening at the same, but there's always something challenging, always in our lives, and there's always something amazing all the time. And so the more we can understand that adversity is a regular routine part of life, and that we can thrive through the adversity rather than waiting till the end, till it's over, and that there are lessons to be learned to get stronger, to build up resiliency and strength and wisdom and authority. There are so many beautiful things that are encompassed in adversity. And so we shouldn't look at adversity as this terrible thing, because it's not.
Have you ever found that when you're, you talk about the ups and the downs, like when you're on a high and then you talk to a friend and they're on the low and you're like, come on, like, I don't need to go through your adversity because I just went through mine. But, it's part of life though.
It is.
But you have to practice almost the same skills how you got out of yours to even listen to them talk about theirs.
Well, and that's one of the most powerful parts of relationships and community and connection is, you have people that are up here that have a better perspective. Because when we're up here, we have a much better perspective, which the point I was trying to make earlier is we can actually always be up here. You don't have to feel it to be up here, but you can start to focus on what is good, and that'll help shift your perspective to understand the truth of adversity is it's something that everybody faces, and it's a tool to learn more about yourself, more about the people you're involved with, more about what happened. Like, you're supposed to make meaning. There's this concept called meaning making, where the whole goal with adversity is to learn and grow, but we don't learn and grow because we don't learn.
Mm-hmm.
We ruminate, right? There's a big difference between learning something and ruminating on something, where we just play it over and over again in our minds. No new insights, no new ideas, no new thoughts. We're just stirring up the emotion of it, the misery of it, and there's a finality to it. And it's this nasty, toxic rumination loop and cycle that we get trapped in. And so many people don't thrive through adversity. They camp out, they build a temple, they worship the failure, they worship the abuse, they worship the trauma. It becomes this little sacred religion. I can't believe this happened, right?
Right. Because I'm a ruminator, and I think that was the biggest takeaway from this lesson is I guess I didn't realize that I mean, I've always been a ruminator, and of course now you learn to like stop those thoughts. But I mean, they are there for it. I mean, if you don't stop them, they're constantly
Yeah,
replaying in your mind.
correct. And the beauty of this is, from a parent perspective, is if you can teach your children and like the way you discipline your children, the way you help them through adversity. When we as parents freak out over adversity, over challenge, over painful things, if we get alarmed or if we bring punitive consequences down our kids, and if we begin to stir up and remind them of their past failures, even after we've forgiven them, even if they've made it up, when we bring those up, what are we teaching them? We're teaching them, well, we're ruminating on it,
Mm-hmm.
and we're connecting this new failure with the last failure. So you did it again. And again, I'm not saying you can't correct them. We have to correct. You have to discipline. But what we want to be careful with is getting them into a cycle of rumination that maybe we're passing on to them.
Especially just with the situation you're going through. Sometimes be careful. Like don't when you're backing out, when you're back, don't take that turn.
Exactly.
And you're making your child like ruminate of I failed.
Bingo. So
Yeah.
I'm now ruminating on their mistake
Yes.
as a parent,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to cause them to do it,
Mm-hmm.
ruminate
Yeah.
on their mistake. And then if I'm not careful, I might open my mouth and say, yeah, they're not a good driver. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about them.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that do? And then the next time my kid hears something, they're going to ruminate more. And it's this toxic cycle that breaks confidence. And just simply saying, oh, I mean, literally my response to him was just like on the phone, because I called him. I'm like, so what happened? He's like, I thought I could make it and I couldn't. I clipped the car. And I'm like, oh, man, that's tough. We all make mistakes. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm really sorry. I'm like, I know you are. You're forgiven. Like, don't let it ruin your day. You're going to learn from it.
Yep.
Like, you're going to learn from this. You're going to learn, like, maybe if it's close, I'm just going to back up. Like, you're going to learn from this. You're smart. So don't let it ruin your day. We'll talk more and we'll figure it out. I think that right there, the thing I'm trying to reinforce is, like, mistakes happen. They happen.
Right.
And it's not that big a deal. He scraped the car.
You know what, though? I don't think sometimes as a parent, and I'm speaking to myself, that we give our children the opportunity of what would you have done different?
Yeah.
Somebody just told me too that they would tell their kids that, you know what, I have confidence in you. You're going to figure it out. Like they wouldn't tell their kids that, like, how to do something, and it's like we become the answer.
Yeah.
And you don't realize sometimes how it's not really helping them grow.
And my kids get some of them get irritated sometimes because I don't give them the answers.
Okay.
Like, what, Dad, what should I say in this? Like, they're interviewing or they're
Uh-huh.
doing stuff, and they're like, yeah, what should I write? Like, why don't you write something? I can help you. You can bounce off me, but like, figure it out. They know I like to write. They know I'm decent at it. So,
Mhm.
but like, I don't know. This is for you to grow. And that's literally say, listen, you're a great writer. You got this.
Yeah.
Bounce it off me, but you got it.
I was that child, but I come from that era that, my dad was like, didn't you read the book? Or didn't, you know what I mean? It was like, how do you not know what to write? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what to write.
No, I think empowering your kids is so important. To empower them when they make a mistake, to empower them, encourage them when they win, when they lose. I think that consistency, right, in our
Mhm.
response, I think that is life-changing for kids' mindsets and the way they look at failure, adversity, and pain. And I think parents hold a major power seat at creating a positive cycle for them.
So this adversity will lessons will be in the app.
It'll be in the app for sure.
Okay.
7 lessons on how to thrive through adversity. And the first lesson just kicks off by talking about like the first thing you got to do is make sure that the failure, the mistake, the challenge, or even the abuse or the trauma, that's adversity, you don't link that to your identity. The adversity is not who you are. It does not define who you are. So like getting in the little fender bender.
Yeah.
That doesn't define your driving skills. It was one moment, right? He's had a bunch of other great moments. So this does not define you. You shouldn't be afraid about the next time. You should learn from it,
Hmm.
right? And he will. Why? Because the brain is wired to learn from mistakes. Like it's natural. Like we naturally learn from mistakes. You know when kids don't learn from their mistakes? When their parents criticize them, when their parents are heavy-handed, when they feel like failures, they want to avoid learning. They want to avoid everything to do with that. They want to block it out. I want to listen to my music. I want to be on my phone. I don't want to think about that because that brings up bad feelings and bad emotions. But when you can empower them with, oh man, that was a tough one. Think about it. What did you change? All of a sudden, you're putting them in a space where they have power even when they drop the ball. And they know, I made a mistake, but it's going to be okay. I mean, isn't that what we want our kids to know? I made a mistake or I'm going through something, but it's going to be okay.
Hmm.
That's the message we want our kids to have in their mind. This is hard, but it's going to be okay.
And the whole responsibility thing is owning your actions.
Yeah. Yeah. And shout out to my son. Like he owned it. Text me, talk to me right away. Like that's ownership.
Hmm.
And I think that's the other part of this is when you help your kids through adversity, what does that create? That creates connection, and you become the source they run to, not away from.
And adversity, it never stops. So no matter what age your kids are, if you create that, they're always going to come to you,
Mm-hmm.
even in their 40s,
Yes.
50s, 60s, Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, we're out of time, and I want to just encourage you, go to 5starlife.org to learn more, to donate, to get involved, to bring 5-star to a city near you, and also to use the app, 5 Star Life app, Google Play Store, Apple Store. See you next week.